let's get into it, guys. Let's get into Cormani McClain. Was certainly the big topic on Saturday coming through here. And it gave us a little bit of a busy Saturday here in the Gators Breakdown Plus, and just a debate of whether Florida should pursue Cormani McClain. And it's been a very polarizing topic. We've seen the debates on both sides, whether it be right here in Gators Breakdown Plus, whether it be on social media as well. And look, I got no issue with it. Don't get me wrong. Like that I remember when he committed to Miami. It was just a complete shock of when that happened. And nothing's for sure in the world of recruiting, but that was one where I was like, you know what? From now on, there's never anything 100% anymore when it comes to recruiting. So no matter where that was trending, we started hearing Miami right before the announcement, but still didn't really want to believe it till he, committed to Miami, and then of course ended up at Colorado when it was all said and done. Anyway, we know NIL and the money part of it was a big reason there. He ends up at Colorado there with Coach Prime. It doesn't work out. Hits the transfer portal. And I didn't think that was a great fit for him anyway, just kind of knowing, I just mentioned the NIL side and the money side of it. And we've seen this offseason kind of the culture or whatever you want to say is going on at Colorado with Coach Prime. And it's maybe wasn't the best situation for Cormani McClain. So I think he realizes that. I think his family realizes that, and that's why I think Florida's squarely in this one right now. And the word culture has gotten thrown around a good bit. It's not a winning culture yet under Billy Napier, and we hope that is to come coming up in year 3. But we do know the player experience is better. We hear recruits week in and week out talk about how much those coaches care for the players, how much they care for them, and it seems like a family atmosphere. All that's true, and we hope it equates to wins. And I think that's the kind of culture, that's the kind of situation Cormani McClain, his family wants to see themselves in now. They got the glitz and the glamour, the NIL, they got the chasing part of it out of the way, and we go to the kind of maybe a slap in the face part, the growing up part. He needs to be in a situation where he can make the best of himself, and Florida may be that. I don't think this is when we talk about that word culture, I don't think this is we can't mess up what Billy Napier's building in that locker room and the culture Florida has going right now. If it's as strong as we hear it is, if it's as strong as we think it is, in that fashion, it's not going to mess it up. One player's not going to mess that up. So I think that's what they are looking for. I think that's why Florida is in this right now. We know it's not done. He visited on Friday and then looks to have another visit coming up to maybe get this thing squared away. But right now, I think as far as the culture goes, let's not forget, the big part of this is the talk is he would be a preferred walk-on, having to earn his way onto the team, having to earn that scholarship. And look, I'm sure there's an NIL package involved here as well, but he is going to have to earn some of this. So, it may not work out down the road, but as I see it right now, to me, it's very, very low risk if, the preferred walk-on status is part of this deal. I'm sure they're going to have all kind of clear meetings. They're going to have thresholds he needs to meet, obligations, responsibilities that he's going to have to meet. I think they would do their due diligence here. But in the end, I don't see a huge issue with welcoming Cormani McClain on this Gator team.
Yeah, David, it feels like, the crazy ex-girlfriend, that burned you. It just feels like that Billy Napier's like the nice guy that's like telling the girls, like, you've made a mistake, you've made a mistake, and now she's seen that she's making a mistake, and now she's trying to crawl back, And
that's the thing. I mean, his, young kid, and a lot of young kids are going to chase what he was chasing. So I think a lot of us did see this coming from a mile away. That's what I said about the Colorado situation. I didn't think it was the best there. Now, we have seen, like I said, in recent months where Coach Prime gets on social media and dogs former players and all that stuff. I don't agree with that. Like I said, it may not have been the best situation. Now, where I will give Coach Prime a little bit, and this is what I think, going back to the culture part of this, is I know On3 had the article here, and I do like what Deion Sanders said here about this, where he says he hopes McClain ends up in a good situation to not only develop as a football player, but also as a person. Prime went on to say, quote, "I'm always in prayer for young men. I want the best for them. And I pray to God that he goes to a program that challenges him as well as holds him accountable and develops him as a young man. Unfortunately, we weren't the program that could accomplish that. So prayerfully that he understands that this is his second go around and get it. Go get it, man, because he's a tremendous amount of talent, but he has to want it." So all that I agree with Deion Sanders in that. And, he admits that their program at Colorado couldn't unlock that, couldn't get that from Cormani McClain. And he does, he needs to go to a place that holds him accountable and develops him as a young man. So, there is some realization here. I think we kind of all know that's where this situation is right now for Cormani McClain, and if he ends up at Florida.
Dave, maybe this has been. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I completely agree with you. As a preferred walk-on, heck, I had trouble even remembering what he did to Florida during the recruitment. I was thinking he was already committed and he flipped, but it wasn't. He was just really heavily projected to Florida, and then it was the last minute deal. Everybody deserves a second chance in life. I hope he takes advantage of it and, becomes a good football player for us.
Anybody else on that topic?
I honestly don't even care about the second chance thing. It'd be one thing if we were a national championship team where we had to build some kind of culture at this point that we just got to win. We've had the last few years. We just got to get some talent in here and see how it goes. If he sucks, there's a pain in the butt, kick him out.
Yeah,
he's gonna have to be developed. I don't think he's a 5-star player currently. And
he has 5-star potential, but his main problem is just want to. He's lazy.
Yeah, that's what I've read too.
That's I don't know him. I've never met him in my life, but
right. I think that's part of it.
That's what I've heard.
I think that's part of it. That reputation is coming out a bit. He did play in 9 games. I think started 4 maybe for Colorado last year. And even when he was a recruit and we thought he was coming to Florida, I think the knock on him was little skinny. Maybe needs to get more physical. And we've seen the tackling issues Florida has had at the cornerback spot the last couple of years. So there is a development piece of this as well. First, the first step of development is, now can you develop that part of want to? Can you? And that's why I say that's where I think situation comes into play here. Maybe he ends up in a better situation to where he actually wants to do it. Maybe he didn't have that push at Colorado. Now you wish a player wouldn't need that. Where no matter what situation he's in, you go out there and give 100%, and that is the knock on him right now. So but that kind of goes back to the part where if you are doing this preferred walk-on status and he has to earn his way onto the team, there's no harm, no foul. There. And I know the other angle of this is the locker room, and can you mess up the locker room? And maybe you guys you want to speak on that. I know we've spoken on the player a bit here, but I'm big on what Billy Napier's doing in that locker room. We've had players on Gators Breakdown since Billy Napier has become the head coach, and I applaud him and everything and the people that he's brought into the building on staff and these players. These players are so approachable. They're mature. You guys have heard the interviews that we've done with them. I think Billy Napier really – there is a lot to be said for the type of people he has in that building, staff and player-wise. And I understand not wanting to upset that, but granted, what we know about this situation right now, there are thresholds, there are things Cormani McClain is going to have to do, and it does seem like that's one reason Florida might be the choice, is because he wants to be in that situation, and there's a lot of responsibility that's going to be on his plate to get back in the good graces.
I don't know if even him coming to Florida would be his solution. Or anywhere else, because it sounded like to me where he was at in high school, things came easy, But then when it got tough, what I'm saying, it probably wasn't what he thought it was going to be over at Colorado. Those guys are dogs. Like that one kid. That played both sides of the ball over there at Colorado. That boy was tireless. Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter. Yeah, I mean, I've been saying, and then now you second, third fiddle. But when you was in, where was you from? Jacksonville. When you was in Jacksonville, everything came
Lakeland.
easy. You was the number one guy.
Lakeland,
Yeah,
Lakeland area.
Oh, Lakeland. So, well, I don't even think that even really matters either, because I think everything came easy for him, and then when it got tough, what happens if he come to Florida and some dogs over here embarrass him? He might not make it here either. So I don't know.
That's the thing.
I think it's a mental thing. It's probably a mental thing he might not be able to overcome.
Well, I mean that's
that's the thing. I think it'll be better when you got.
Yeah, I mean that's certainly part of it, and he's going to have to earn his way more ways than one. And yeah, things may have come easy, but when we talk about development, we're not talking about this development as a player in this regard. In this certain example, I mean, we've just discussed. There are a lot of things that he has to overcome. If he's going to unlock that talent like Deion Sanders has, he's got to get into a place to be developed, not only as a player but as a young man. So there probably is a lot of growing up. I mean, just remember, this is 17, 18-year-old kids, and we all had to grow up and take, and do what we were supposed to do to grow as a human being, and that seems like where he needs to be, and that's why Florida may be the choice. I mean, we've all heard, the good things from recruits and players, and I think we all saw it last week with the This Is the Swamp, and we watched that in that Gator Made program they have. I mean, that is top-notch stuff there, and so I do think when and we've seen it kind of play out that way. Grimsley, DeAndre Robinson, Pup Howard coming back around. I mean, I think there's a reason these players are coming back around. Florida may not have been the first choice, and there may be various reasons for that. But when it comes to, all right, let's take this a little more serious, the second go around, I mean, we've seen Florida be the benefactor in the last few months of the second go around, and I think that's because of that initial relationship, what Florida's doing behind the scenes of guys that do want to be a part of this program. Hopefully, it pays off on the field.
Yeah, my thing is, Dave, that we all have that coworker or something going into places where it's like he gets that second chance. He's a talented guy and figures it out, and I'm curious, and you guys have probably mentioned this in the chat, but I'm curious to know, was it Cormani's camp that reached out to Florida, or was it Florida's camp that reached out to Cormani? That's one thing I'm curious about.
I thought I read either, I may have been in Discord or on Twitter, that Florida reached out to him almost immediately after he hit the portal. And like I said, if it's on Twitter, it may not even be true.
I think it's a little of both.
That's probably where
going back
may
to the
be
locker
right.
room thing, Dave.
But yeah, I do think I remember hearing. Yeah, quickly on that, I do think I remember hearing Florida contacted him as all the way back. So this On 3 article did say, I remember hearing this as well. But after making, so this is just to confirm it. After making 4 starts at Colorado as a true freshman, McClain decided to enter the transfer portal on April 16th. Gators Online has learned that Florida made contact with him as early as April 18th, so only 2 days after him entering the transfer portal. So yeah, go ahead and go to the locker room part there.
Well, there you go. Yep.
Just remember too.
I don't think Napier would tolerate him if he was a cancer in the locker room. If he came in and started trouble, I mean, he kicked Brendan Cox off the team for being a so-called cancer on the team, didn't he? So, like I said, if that's what he's done, I mean, that is one part of his culture. And I'm one of the ones who hype on that word culture. It's not a winning culture, so that's really all that matters in the long run. But for the locker room purpose, yeah, I mean, I don't think one player is going to come in there and break what he's built there. I don't think the players would allow it, and I don't think the coaching staff would allow it. And I think Cox is an example of that.
Yeah. So y'all just remember.
So
Napier always.
Go ahead, Chach.
Napier always wanted Cormani. Even when Cormani decommitted from Miami and ended up going to Colorado, Napier still wanted him. It was Corey Raymond that refused to take him.
Yep. So
as soon as Raymond's out of the picture, then Napier was all back on board with Cormani. He never turned off on him. That's just a distinction there.
And going to the previous one of the topics that came up about this too was, being at Colorado with Travis Hunter and having to overcome. Well, I mean, I don't think Florida secondary is much of a slouch, especially this year. And I don't know how much, as I said, I think we know Cormani McClain has to grow as a player, has to get bigger, has to be probably a more physical player. But with Jason Marshall and Devin Moore and Jakeem Jackson and Dede, I mean, there's a lot to overcome here as well. If he wants to get on the field, it's not a walk in the park. It's not him coming to Florida because Florida just desperately needs him. Florida's not in that situation. I think Florida can use him. You want to upgrade the talent, but I think when you look at it from a Florida perspective and a roster perspective, Florida doesn't need Cormani McClain at this point.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even expect them to see much playing time other than late, and if there are any, I hate to say if there are any blowout games for us, I wouldn't, like you said, I think our secondary it's a tough pecking order for him to get up there.
He needs to play kickoffs and special teams, teaching some toughness.
Yeah, that's a good point. And the thing is, I always go back to this: if he is on the field, he went out there and earned it. I mean, because that's where these. And look, granted, this is a defense that has given up a ton of passing yards. So, maybe we're looking at this the wrong way. But at the same time, I do think under some new leadership with Will Harris, I think we know that group is better than what they've shown. That's why we've been frustrated with this defense. There is a little more talent than what they've actually shown as far as results go. And I think we've all been kind of high on the potential of Marshall and Moore and Jakeem Jackson and Dede back there. If he is playing at some point this year, he probably went out here and earned it.
I want to see. We'll see whether he's a true walk-on or what they really think about his recruitment. Does he get like a number 7 or number 8, or is he going to be wearing like a walk-on number like 42 or something playing DB?
I hope he does.
I want to see him wear like number 38.
Just to show a little bit more humility. Accept a crappy number, and you get to change your number when you earn it. I mean,
so then next year you ball out, next year you wear number 1.
The fact that he's even considering, I mean, like I said, we all know there's probably an NIL package. It's probably paying for most of the scholarship. But even the fact that he's considering, are his options a full ride at a scholarship at USF and then a walk-on here. So for him to even consider that shows some humility. It's something that he is thinking that, maybe his choices that he made a year and a half ago weren't the best ones. And like I said, I mean, I hope nobody looks back in my life and judges me for the things I did when I was 18 years old.
Right. And part of this, I'd expect him. And there's some thought here that he may earn that scholarship. Numbers may work out where he gets one. Let me put it this way too. Even if it was a scholarship, I'm still for it. If it wasn't even this preferred walk-on thing, I don't know. I still don't know how much risk it is really to bring him on board. If it doesn't work out, okay, you can still you can still do it where it's not affecting your team a whole lot, whether he's a scholarship player or not. So you can still, whether they're on scholarship or not, you can still kick him off the team. He doesn't have to be around this team if he doesn't do what he is supposed to do. So it's not to me, it wouldn't be wasting a scholarship or anything in that regard. We know Florida's tight there, and Elijah Badger is still on the back burner as well, and we'll see where that one goes. So, numbers will work themselves out somehow, some way, if both these guys are to come on board. But we've seen walk-ons get scholarships late in the year, during the season, at some point as well. So, but to me, I go back the other way. Even if it wasn't just the preferred walk-on status, and there's not much risk on that side of it, if it was for a scholarship, I would still be approaching this the same way.
My thing is, Dave, is maybe it's a situation like, a lot of those players like, Dante Moore, they transfer to school and they take a step back. And even, the fiasco of Jaden Rashad, he went to Georgia to take a step back. Maybe this is Cormani taking a step back and saying, hey, let me develop redshirt for a year, try to get bigger and stronger, try to work on my game, try to, break some bad habits that I got, and, maybe start, a couple of years down the road for Florida.
Yeah, I think somebody just said it. There is some humility here in what Cormani McClain is doing.
Is he hot? Is he hot anymore though? I mean, because you remember when he was off the press, he was hot. And before you know it, I mean, the next best thing that took over your spotlight, Um, I'm just being straight up. I mean, is he really that hot? Because when he got to the transfer portal, how many takers did he really have after that? I mean, when you think about it, was USC calling him or Texas or all these other? I mean, Alabama, were they calling him? They weren't really calling him up, were they?
I don't think it's because I don't think it's because of the player. I think it's just because of the everything else that comes with it. But as I said, there is. I mean, we've been talking about there is a lot for him to overcome. He's not a step on the field and go contribute day one guy right now, and that's not necessarily because of the player. That's because he's got a lot to figure out and how he wants to approach the game of football.
He might have been that in the first place to begin with. Hype something, isn't it?
He could be. I mean, there are misses and all that, and as I said, but I think it's worth the risk if he is that 5-star potential that he was labeled coming out of high school. I mean, but everybody knew there was a size that needed to be a physical stature that needed to be built up. There was. Once the NIL part started coming along, visiting Florida over and over and over and over and over again, and then committing to Miami out of nowhere, and then all right, not going to Miami, going to Colorado. We knew right then there was more to Cormani McClain than the player. There was a lot of chasing bags and chasing money and NIL. We know that there's a lot to get over from the events that transpired up to this point.
And how much of that was the adult in this situation? Like, was it all McClain, or how many? I mean, was it the parents of Cormani McClain, or the whoever's in charge of his camp?
I mean, his mama didn't help, but it was a lot of him too.
Okay. Usually, I mean, I kind of think sometimes it's the adults in those situations that are the greedy ones making all the decisions. Kind of like Rashada, wasn't it? Kind of his dad pulling the strings on that one.
Sure. Yeah, and his mom was. I think his mom and his mom and agent were both on the Friday visit, I believe, or the Thursday visit, whatever it was. So, they're still involved, but it does seem like at this point they want the best situation for Cormani McClain.
Okay.
Going out and following prime time, and prime time's got a rep, The thing about primetime, though, is he could back his stuff up, though. Yeah. So, I mean, Cormani might have felt like, yeah, man, if I go out here, he could make me like him. It's like, well, but I'm like, what? That's probably not the best way to be. I mean, maybe it could have worked out.
I mean, I hope you guys saw
prime time is prime time.
Yeah, but there's still a lot of questions on him as a coach, and as far as that regard, and the culture he's building at Colorado, it does seem a lot like it's about his sons and Travis Hunter more than everybody else on the roster. But if we want to share stuff, that's also from others out there. Antonio Cromartie tweeted yesterday, "It'd be great for the Florida Gators to add Cormani McClain, one of the best DB coaches, and Coach Will Harris is there. Coach Harris' resume speaks for itself with the guys he coached during his time at Washington. He has standard that has been set high. I think Cormani would benefit. I'm just saying." So, and I know Theatric Faison, I saw him on Facebook yesterday. He's all for it as well. Guys learning lessons and, now coming to Florida. So I think, there's to me, there's not a whole lot of risk here. And, you could just go see if it works out. It doesn't mean it works out. What works
exactly.
out.
Yeah.
If he does sign with us, it'll be kind of like a delayed right response, because he probably should have signed with us in the first place. but then again, we had Corey Raymond and all of that, blah blah blah. But maybe it was for the best that he came later. So,
or it could just be DeMarcus Bowman 2.0.
Right. It could be that.
Everything happens for a reason.
Yep.
Yeah.
And sure. Hey, look at it this way. If he's a preferred walk-on and we have to award somebody a preferred walk-on scholarship, during fall camp, wouldn't you rather give it to a former 5-star than a former, 2 or no star? Hey.
Yep.
I'm like you. There's really not much risk in this. I mean, we've all talked on the Discord that the roster could use a little more purging. And there's probably possibly 2 medical redshirts coming, or 2 medical
Hard
what am I trying to say? They're gonna hardship. There you go.
Yep.
So
Yeah, we know you're talking about Ryan.
Yeah, sorry. So there could be 2 scholarships available anyway.
Yeah, I wish we
scholarship or is he
traded
officially
for
gone?
cornerback. We don't really need a cornerback right now.
Yeah, you always want to add talent, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
this year, that's what I'm saying. That's and I went through the the depth chart just quickly. Yeah, this year I don't think he's not a need. But if he develops into that 5-star down the road, you put him on the field. But he's not a need for the 2024 season. Like he's not going to make or break Florida's win-loss record in 24. He doesn't really add a victory or anything like that. But down the road, if he's that player some project him to be, he'd be an asset, starting in 2025.
Yeah, my question is, how much NIL are we talking about here? Because if this is like an amount where we could have got somebody else, probably not a great idea, given we just don't need a DB right now and there are massive roster holes elsewhere. But I mean, if he's coming cheap and we can PWO him, why not?
Yeah, I don't know details on that. I can't imagine it's anywhere near what it was when he was coming out of high
a
school.
crazy amount.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
If anything, he saved us money then.
Maybe, yeah, good point. Yeah, in the long run, yeah.
Yeah, that's off the table, Dave.
Hey, a name nobody's mentioned is the Rod Kearney situation. I think that's got some similarities here with some scorched earth, and then interestingly, Rod has sounded like he's got really good character. So we never know which way these things are going to go. But
you mean when Rod was?
I think that's an interesting one.
You mean when Rod was committed to Florida State and flipped?
I mean, when Rod committed to Florida State, leaving his visit from Florida,
right?
And then we took him back with open arms, and everything we've heard about him sounds like really good character on leading the practice squad. So we never know how these things are going to go, but especially if it's a preferred walk on, that seems like a good call option with a lot of upside.
Yeah, I mean, don't forget, Jameer Grimsley's comments either was, one reason he went to Alabama over Florida initially was because, whoops, but hey, I know Nick Saban's going to be there. I don't know where Billy Napier's going to be in a couple of years. that was literally what he was saying about comparing Alabama to Florida, and then he ends up at Florida anyway because Nick Saban retiring. So, these things have a funny way of working themselves out, especially now with the way the transfer portal is, and guys can just willy-nilly go in. Florida has been the benefactor of that, with a few players.
Luckily, the staff doesn't hold grudges like some of the fans do.
I'm not sure any of you were in here were sending scathing emails to the administration.
You mean Scott Strickland?
Yeah, Scott Strickland. But that was just for clicks. That was just for clicks, apparently.
No death
he got paid for it.
Yeah,
that's what he said. He said he was trying to make money.
I'm in that world. He needs a lot more than that.
I don't know about you guys, but I think I got better things to do than getting upset about stuff like that. I mean, I'm just as passionate as all you guys are, but I'm not. I don't think I'm taking it that far.
No, not at all. Anything
this is as far as I'm taking it. Talking to y'all.
Yeah, got that right.
Yeah, I'm gonna put this part out for everybody out there. So it's a popular topic, of course, of Gator Nation. So good. This would be the preview for everybody else out there who's not Gators Breakdown Plus members. The rest of the episode, it will be behind the Gators Breakdown Plus paywall. But instead of doing a solo episode about that, there was just a lot of debate about the Cormani McClain situation. So I certainly wanted to get some of Gator Nation in here through Gators Breakdown Plus. So I think I think we explained about every angle coming into this one.